I mean, we
Or
could
go
probably
ahead.
talk for
Yeah.
hours on the pro case, Gavin. I don't think we're gonna go through every arm, or every position player that was there, even though they
Mhm.
probably could warrant, multiple takes by us going across and back and forth. But regardless, awesome event. Really, really good way to kind of get this impressive weekend going and week going. But an event that was kind of sprinkled in there up in Kenosha. Kenosha preseason ID, and I just wanted to mention one guy that I actually was not at that Kenosha event, but our Wisconsin guys came back talking about Rylan Lamp. Lake Zurich, he's an unsigned senior, and I love that. Like guys that pop up, unsigned seniors that should be known by college coaches. Um, didn't pitch much last year for Lake Zurich, from what I understand, if at all. Has seen a little jump in velo from what we saw last summer. He was like 80, 82, but he was 84, 86 at this event. And I think the thing I should have probably said first is he's 6'8", 190 pounds. So obviously he stands out immediately. He's a guy that I think, needs to be on a lot of people's radars. He was also throwing a slider at 74, 76 with late and lateral action, and then had a splitter in the upper 70s as well. First off, excited to see what he can do for Lake Zurich, who had a really, really good squad last year. Coach Parola over there will have him, hopefully in their rotation, or I guess what's the better way to put it? In the mix of just arms that can get quality innings for them. Um, but Rylan Lamp, one of the biggest takeaways as far as the Kenosha preseason ID and Illinois prospects, because there were some good Wisconsin guys there as well, Gavin. And then yeah, that was on Saturday, and the big event here was on Sunday up at the Max in McCook, where it's been now for shoot since the early 2000s. Maybe since like 2008, 2009, it moved over to the Max, and I think from all accounts was maybe the best Super 60 we've ever had. From talent, the way it ran, pro scouts, agents, just people in attendance. So, yeah, if you want to introduce it any other way, Gavin, I don't mean to steal your thunder, but it was an awesome Sunday. And we run the Unsigned Senior on top of that as well. And the Unsigned Senior had a ton of takeaways as well. So, unfortunately, like I would say from an Illinois, director standpoint, like we don't have a ton of Illinois guys to talk about. We did invite some guys, like you look at an Ethan Bass of the world, you look at a Landon Tomey, Jack Slidham, like some of the top guys in the Illinois class did not attend. They were invited. We would love to have them. I would love to talk about what we saw on Sunday there, but like, let's talk about the guys that were there because there were some really, really good performances.
Drew, one thing I was going to ask you, and I don't want you to answer it because you already answered this. But I was going to ask you how the event has evolved since you first came, but actually keep an eye out. There's going to be a video I think here soon of Drew talking about that as a whole. If you're interested in how he's seen the event change and things like that, I thought you had a pretty good answer. So
No,
just wanted to
appreciate that.
mention
Get a
that.
plug
Yeah,
in. Get a plug in right there, Gab.
yeah, there you
Appreciate
go.
it.
Yeah,
No, because it has evolved and it's been really cool to see. Just because it's truly turned into like the best of the best from across the country. And that's not what it was, when I first started 10 years ago. It was the best of the best in the Midwest, a collection of states, a handful of states. But now it truly is like, man, I can't wait for the draft to be able to say, like, oh, that guy was super 60. That guy was super, like, oh, yeah, we saw him. Oh, I was locked in on his BP round. Like, I'm really excited for that because I think there's going to be a ton of high picks coming out of this event.
Well, I'll throw a couple shout outs out. First to Shooter Hunt, who does all the legwork on getting this roster assembled. And also to Andy Soroka, who gave us all this like stats and info for this little tidbit. So a ton of records were broken this year or like tied or a bunch of these guys, and even our Illinois guys ended up on like the all-time record book for this event, I guess I'll say. I'll start out like Dominic Batista, tied to record the seventh hardest hit ball for in the event's history at 108.5. Anthony Chavez tied to record the ninth hardest hit ball at 108.3. Both Batista and Chavez broke the previous highest average exit velocity record. Batista had a 104.1 and Chavez had a 103.9. Cam Jenkins and Anthony Chavez had batted balls over 415 feet each, and both of them had at exactly 417 feet for their max. And then lastly, high school teammates TJ McQuillan and Anthony Chavez each entered the top 8 in all-time average rotational acceleration with blast at 27 Gs and 26.2 Gs, respectively. The 27 for McQuillan is 5th all-time, and the 26.2 for Chavez is 8th all-time. So where I sit, like, that's really impressive that our guys not only, come, but they show out, and, now they're, kind of in history for this event. Like, especially for a guy like Anthony Chavez, right? We kind of touched on it. He was a late ad due to what he did at the pro case, but for him to then not only back it up, but he was probably better in all facets at the Super 60 on that type of stage, I think is really impressive. So I'll kind of open up the floor to you guys on where we want to start here.
I mean, let's stay on Chavi. Like, I thought, like, he only got better as he went on. Like, I thought the first round was a little inconsistent, and then the second round, like, was barrel after barrel. And you can tell he was getting more comfortable, getting more confidence as he went. It was just a great showing. I mean, it was even louder than the pro case, like we said. He ran even better. He ran a 6.68 this time. And again, took a great round of defense. So, like, that kid, like Tyler said earlier, rises to every occasion, every stage we put him on. He shows out. He deserved to be there every bit. Even some pro scouts that I was talking to, I was doing the scout check-in. I had to tell every single one of them, like, yeah, here's their player contact, here's the position players, here's the pitcher sheet, and we have one right in. It's Anthony Chavez from Illinois. And the guys that knew him or knew of him from the Midwest were like, oh, good. Like, okay, good. We wanted to see more of him. Some of them were even like, oh, like, good. Like, he deserved an invite from the pro case. So they were glad we did that, had him come to Super 60. Saturday morning, Shooter was telling me about all the kids from the Carolinas that were, like, maybe going to miss flights. And I was, like, thinking, oh, man, like, maybe Chavi gets the invite. And we found out later that day that he did. So really glad it worked out. And man, I mean, that kid put on a show.
Yeah, really happy he got that invite. But let's stay at his high school. We kind of touched on it briefly, but TJ McQuillan was also in attendance, another left-handed hitter. The fact that Mount Carmel's got, they're going to be able to have both those physical left-handed hitters in the middle of that lineup seems a little unfair. But TJ had a 105.5 max EV at the Super 60. As well as a 380-foot max distance, and then he averaged 74.9 miles an hour with his bat for bat speed, and then, like I talked on earlier, 27 G average rotational acceleration. So he also swung it well, and like I said, like pretty nice embarrassment of riches for Coach Hurry over there at Mount Carmel.
Yeah, I mean, he's one that, like, as the frame continues to get better, like, he is shedding that, like, kind of baby fat that he used to have, and it's like he's getting strong. It's like wide close hanger shoulders to like a narrow waist with big legs. Like, he's clearly putting work in, and it's like a middle of the order power bat, And I know he's been dealing with he had the hammock bone injury, which is that's tough for hitters. So, and that was in like December he was dealing with that. So he's like not far off that, and be able to put up those numbers coming off that this fast is impressive. And I think that kid, that kid's gonna hit no matter what level he goes to next, whether it's pro ball, whether it's college. He's gonna find a way. He's long been a kid that hits for us. And yeah, I mean, corner infield profile, and he can run a little bit. I know he didn't run this day, but he's been around the 7 mark in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's even a little under that now, especially with how the frame looks.
We've probably buried the lead long enough on this guy, but it's time to talk on Dominic Batista out of Oswego East. Like, huge winner from the event, I think, not only from where we sit, but also with our guy Shooter Hunt. I think, he kind of teased it on his War Room episode last week that there was an outfielder out of Chicago land that he was really excited to see and thought he was a sleeper for the event. And Batista did not disappoint at all. Ran a 6.5 360. He was 93 from the outfield. But also on top of like the arm strength from the outfield, that kid just floats in the outfield and he moves so well. But from the left side, he had a 108.5 mile an hour max EV, average 104.1, which is just so ridiculous. And a max distance of 413 feet. He also had a 93% hard hit percentage, which is the amount of balls hit over 95 miles an hour. Not much of a surprise there considering what his average EV was, but and then I might have touched on this earlier, but like 6th highest max bat speed for the event, 79.1, and then the 4th highest average bat speed at 75.5. So, man, I think we were all just kind of like wowed by it. We were all looking forward to seeing him, and like I said, he just did not disappoint. But Drew, I'll toss it over to you.
No, he's another guy that like just fires me up because he was on the pro case team at the Illinois State games. And to me, that is where he like flourished on the radar. I was like, this guy has made incredible jumps, was showing all kinds of bat speed in game. And that's what stood out to me was like the in game with Dominic Batista, the way he was running down the line, the at bats he was taking, the swings he was taking in game, the way he was playing center field. And then you get him in a showcase setting and you get to track the numbers. And it's like, yeah, that makes so much sense. It was everything that we had seen in game. And he had even taken, he's taken way more strides since August. Running a 6.53 now. The bat strength and the strength that he's put on his frame, like he looked chiseled. I think he's listed at 6'1", 185-ish. And like, he's another guy that you can tell just gets after it. The fact that he's juicing balls the way he is with his frame, a 104 average exit velo it's crazy good. And I would just say that was one of the more like overarching takes I had from the entire Super 60 was just like, these kids are getting so physical. Like these average exit velocities and peak exit velocities and max batted ball distance that came out of the Super 60 were like hands down the highest numbers we have ever seen from multiple different players. But like for him to do it with his left-handed swing that is athletic, that's twitchy, that's not over swinging, that's spray gap to gap. Like, man, there's so many good things to say about Dominic Batista, but you factor in all the high-level tools with the way he plays the game, and this is a real prospect. I would be shocked if he doesn't have a number of scouts following him throughout the spring at Oswego East. And like, UIC, I feel like we've gotten a lot of guys here today that we've talked about that are committed to UIC. Like they have done a really good job with these high school prospects and locking them up. But yeah, Dominic Batista, like we could probably talk all day on him. And then TJ McQuillan, I know you guys were talking about him and Chavi and Mount Carmel, and man, they're going to be another team to watch this spring. But like, it's hard to have, a huge real take on TJ because he didn't run, because he didn't do defense. He just swung the bat at the Super 60 and it's 2 quick rounds of BP. And like, we've seen that guy hit forever in game. We've seen him run before. So like, I don't know if I have any huge like overarching takes, good or bad. Like it was McQuillan. Like the guy is gonna hit in game. He's gonna show feel to hit. He's gonna show power. To me, it was like these guys that holy cow made huge jumps, and it's like Dominic Batista jumped off the table. Like Anthony Chavez, what he has been doing. Like the fact that he ran the way he ran at the Super 60 after wowing us at the Pro Case, it's just like. Those are the things that really stood out to me from the Super 60. Like Cameron Jenkins. He's a guy that used to go to Oswego. You guys saw him down at the Kickoff Classic. It was his sophomore year. And like everybody that saw him early that spring came back like wowed with the defense, with the athlete, with the swing. And we just kept seeing him. We get him to the future games. Like he was one of my favorite guys on that team at the future games. But he was a long levered, lean frame, like highly athletic. And he's now down at Bob Jones in Alabama for his final senior season. And like I hadn't seen him in a while. Like he's been getting after it in the weight room. Like he's added all kinds of strength. And then it shows in the batted ball numbers. Like the guys that the guys that earn it off the field, the guys that are earning it in the weight room, the Anthony Chavez of the world, the Dominic Batistas who are changing their bodies, they're adding athleticism. Like, man, those are the guys that it shows. Like, it pays off. Like, there's no shortcuts. These guys are turning themselves into, they've been good and really good players. They're turning themselves into great prospects by the work they're doing off the field. And I love to see that. And it fires me up. And like Cameron Jenkins, looking at the frame, like it wowed me. I was like, dude, you've added all kinds of like quality muscle. Ran a 6.71, which he was never a burner before. He was always like around the 7 mark. 104.5 max EV, 97, 0.6 average I see listed here. 417 max distance. But what stood out to me was like his first round of BP. It was like every swing he took was 100 plus EV and around the 400 foot batted ball mark. And it was repeat, pull side gap, pull side gap, pull side gap. And it was super impressive in my opinion. So I love to see that. I absolutely hate that he's not going to be in Illinois this spring season because I would love to go out and cross-check him. But those are just a couple takeaways that I had on all those guys, and appreciate you letting me get in there and getting long-winded like I love doing. But, man, these guys give us so much to talk about, and they represented Illinois in an awesome way at the event.
Yeah, I really agree about Jenkins. I thought, like you said, that first round, I was like, whoa, this kid, he's always had that power, that easy power. But yeah, like the way he gets to it without a lot of effort was really impressive. But one more thing about Batista, like that kid's always been, like he can bunt for a hit, he can shoot the gaps. Now he has juice, and he can run, and he's a center fielder. Like that takes his game to a whole new level. I mean, he was already intriguing. We already loved him. And like, he's just a real pro prospect now. And I'm super excited to follow him this spring because I think that kid has a chance to not only make some noise, but he should have guys on him for sure, 100%.
Caleb Cox, like his performance at the Pro Case was eye-opening for me. He didn't quite repeat that at the Super 60. There could be a ton of reasons for that. Like he just threw a pen on Tuesday. He had 4 days rest, came back, threw another pen. That thing is a pressure cooker up there on the mound in front of all those eyes looking at you. But no matter what, like you just look at the young face he's got, the frame, the way his arm works. So, you could say it's kind of like it has some Jacob Mizorowski qualities to it. When you look at the way the frame is built, the way the arm works, the movement patterns, by no means is he throwing that, dynamite slider that Jacob Mizorowski figured out. And, he's not throwing 102 yet or whatever it may be. But, like, that is the type of ceiling that wouldn't totally surprise me down the road if he gets to. Now, clearly, he's got a long way to go. But just the raw attributes he has, like, he's going to intrigue a lot of people. And Northern Illinois got a steal right there in Mr. Caleb Cox. So really excited to see his future and what happens there. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to touch on with Super 60, anything I missed or regardless.
Well,
it was yeah.